Okay, and here's Meredith doing a single leg stiff leg deadlift, and this is very, very, very specific use of this exercise, and we're doing it for some movement therapy. So we have some underdevelopment on the internal hip muscles, and it's also some developmental issues with her calf and ankles. Now, they're related to many, many, many years of dance. So I think almost like 20 years of dance. And whenever they were taught to hinge at the hip, they were taught to open their hips. So as she would bend over, they were taught to turn their hips over like a turnout. So we're now teaching her to keep the hip closed down. That's going to help her fire more of her internal glute muscles, and it's going to help her build better shape in the bottom edge of the glute as compared to the upper glutes or the lower back. Now, this is a very hard exercise, and the reason why we're picking it is because we're retraining her body how to move. It's going to be very challenging when you do that. So sometimes movements like this are going to be very shaky. They're going to burn a lot. You're just going to feel miserable and feel like you're failing. But the idea is we're trying to teach our body a new skill. So it's going to take some struggles at first to learn that. So we have the block there to prevent her knee from caving in. So as her hips would stay closed, and like preventing that turnout, as her hips stay closed, her knee would cave in. So we put the block there as a reminder, kind of a guide for her. She's not leaning into it. She's just going to notice if she hits it. The other thing we're doing is as she raises her back leg for balance, she has to keep her toes pointing to the floor as much as she can. And that's, again, going to prevent the hips from turning out. So there's a lot of kind of stipulations. We even have the use of an easy curl bar, so she has two sides. So if she comes down and one side hits early, that's an indicator that she rotated her hips. So this is a movement therapy exercise, and if anybody else were to try this, if you didn't have the ankle issues, if you didn't have the dance background, this would still be a great, great exercise for building the lower glutes, to get that kind of pop to the glute. So this will build the lower glute shelf, and it's a great, great, great exercise. We typically are going to do it for sets of 8 to 12, and you want to use whatever is weights heavy enough that you can do correctly. How do you know if it's correctly? Yep, she did a great job. Is if the knees stay out, the back toe stays straight, and if you're squeezing through the lower glute. So if it's so heavy and you're just kind of throwing yourself back up by using your lower back, that's too much weight. So reduce weight and make sure it stays in the lower glutes.